Hi everyone, welcome back to the class. So this is part 2 of top 50 CA dues from the month of February. In the previous class, we have discussed some of the news which were important from February CA. So in these classes, we are not discussing the concepts, we are just discussing the important news because concepts have already been discussed in the CA classes themselves, right? So stay tuned in the class, we are going to cover the remaining news in part 2 from Feb CA. I hope the audio and video is good. Yeah, from here we had to discuss outward remittances. Anyone can please confirm, is the audio and video good? Alright, so I'm assuming it's all good to go. Let's begin the discussion here. We have discussed this news in the last class, I think up to this one, where SEBI has proposed tighter security for investors' trading accounts, right? So we have to begin from here. Outward remittances. So basically, outward remittances under your RBI's liberalized remittances scheme, they have dropped 10.15% year-on-year basis in April-December period of 24-25, right? So remember, outward remittances have dropped, and LRS scheme is particularly important. You must be very clear about the scheme. It was launched in 2004, remember, where the resident individuals can remit up to $250,000 per financial year for any permissible current or capital account transaction. This is something you need to remember. Initially, the limit was 25,000 US dollars, but now it has been raised. So the LRS is important from here. The next news is saying flow of money from overseas Indians into non-resident Indian deposit schemes. Any overseas Indians who want to send money to non-resident NRI deposit schemes, like you have these kind of deposits, I have discussed them with you in the CA as well, like non-resident external accounts, sorry, non-resident ordinary deposits, foreign currency non-resident account. So in NRE, NRO, you keep it in the Indian rupee or domestic currency. In foreign currency, FCNR deposits, you can keep your deposits in the permitted foreign currencies, right? Which are easily convertible. So easily convertible, those kind of currencies are acceptable here. Also in NRE, you have certain tax benefits, right? So these accounts, basically flow of money from your overseas Indian into non-resident deposit scheme has risen, they are saying. Just a second, I think it is hanging. By 42.8%. 42.8%. The next news is saying SEBI recently has revised timeline for issuance of consolidated account statements for depositories. Remember, so SEBI has revised timeline for the issuance of consolidated account statements by depositories to enhance compliance ease. Depositories which you have like CDSL, SDL can issue. So basically they have to issue these consolidated account statements. So let's see. The asset management companies, mutual fund registrars, transfer agents, etc., they are required to provide common pen data to the depositories within 5 days from the end of the month instead of earlier 3-day deadline. So what is the change? Changes all these asset management companies, mutual fund registrars, transfer agents, they are required to provide common pen data to depositories within how many days? 5 days. Earlier it was 3 days. Remember, earlier it was 3 days. Now it would be 5 days they will be providing this to depositories. And after receiving the data, depositories will then consolidate them. So consolidated account statement, consolidate them and dispatch that statement to investors who opt for electronic delivery by 12th day of every month, and to those preferring physical copies by 15th of every month. So remember, 12th digital copies के लिए and 15th of month for physical copies. Also under the revised framework, the AMCs, they shall provide data with respect to the common pen to depositories on or before 8th day of April and October every year. This is also there. Every year or before 8th of April and October. Remember that. Then RBI recently has instructed at least 2 state-owned banks to ensure that their corporate clients acknowledge and pay penalties for violating foreign exchange regulations. So this recently, your FEMA breach is in news. So FEMA really becomes important. FEMA 1999, you must be knowing, it has replaced the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973. Objective is to facilitate external trade and payments, promote orderly forex market development, and it applies across India and to Indian entities abroad. And Directorate of Enforcement investigates violations under the Act. So you need to remember FEMA 1999. That next one we have is SEBI. SEBI has new proposal to ease the compliance burden on research analysts. SEBI has proposed easing regulations regarding collection of advance fees from clients, extending restriction to a year from 1 quarter. So देखो, ये जो आपके research analyst, investment advisors होते हैं, ये अपने clients से कुछ fees लेते हैं, right? Advance fees. So उसके regarding the circular is, under the present rules, if you see research analysts, they were permitted to charge advance fees from clients for only 1 quarter. They were allowed to charge this fees from their clients only for 1 quarter. Now it has been extended to 1 year. Okay. So instead of 1 quarter, it is now extended to 1 year. Because viability concern hota hai usse. So to ease out the viability, to provide viability of functioning for such research analysts, this decision is coming. However, remember, investment advisors may retain a brokerage fee of up to 1 quarter to cover client onboarding cost. Investment advisors के लिए अभी भी ये 1 quarter रहेगा, but the research analyst, remember, will be having 1 year's leverage. Is that clear? Also remember, SEBI has clarified that in case of premature termination by clients, research analysts would be required to refund fees for the unexpired period without charging any brokerage fee. कोई भी brokerage fee charge करने नहीं देंगे इनको, right? So they cannot charge any brokerage fee, and if there is any premature termination, the research analyst would be required to refund fees for the unexpired period. Is this news clear? This is important for research analysts and investment advisors. I hope it is clear, everyone. Yes or no? Then next is Mitra platform. Mitra, you all know, is very important. These kind of questions they have asked recently. So remember, SEBI has introduced a digital platform that assists investors in tracking inactive and unclaimed mutual fund folios. Specifically for tracking the inactive and unclaimed mutual fund folios, the platform is dedicated for. What is Mitra? Mitra's extension is Mutual Fund Investment Tracing and Retrieval Assistant. Mutual Fund Investment Tracing and Retrieval Assistant. So please remember Mitra, the full form of Mitra, and Mitra aim, of course, who has launched this? SEBI. So Mitra is going to be important. Mitra is going to be your Mitra in the examination, right? So these kind of questions, because they have asked recently. Next news we have is SEBI issues new norms on unclaimed funds and securities. Unclaimed funds pe SEBI has been really stricter nowadays. So SEBI has come up with proposed guidelines on treatment of unclaimed funds and securities lying with brokers. So according to the new rules, such clients which are unclaimed or inactive for quite long period of time will be put under inquiry status, and brokers will contact to clients immediately. Brokers will be contacting to them. For untraceable clients जिनसे contact नहीं हो पा रहा है, the introducer of the client, nominee, employer or any other related person will be contacted, right? If the broker is declared defaulter, अगर broker defaulter है, in that case all unclaimed funds will be downstream and transferred directly to dedicated bank account of the dedicated stock exchange. So these are certain provisions they have made to spearhead the process of consolidating and identifying the unclaimed and inactive accounts. Then next is SEBI has mandated brokers to establish a separate business unit to trade in government securities through negotiated dealing system order matching. NDS-OM के through to trade in government securities. So NDS-OM, you know, is an electronic order matching system. Acha, you have this basic difference between NDS-OM and eKuber platform, which you must be remembering by now, that NDS-OM provides you secondary market opportunities as well, but eKuber is for primary market dealing, right? So this is the basic difference. Earlier NDS-OM was only available, remember, to regulated entities and to the clients of banks and standalone primary dealers. But now you have brokers also, they can trade government securities on NDS-OM platform. Brokers can also participate. Remember that. Next one we have SEBI to tighten norms for related party transaction, statutory auditors. Related party transactions के लिए ये है. Related party transactions क्या होते हैं? Related party क्या होती है? We have discussed that thing, right? So related party क्या है? You are doing any transaction with your say subsidiaries and all. SEBI has proposed a tighter framework for related party transactions. Related party transactions of material subsidiaries. जो मटीरियल सब्सिडरीज होती हैं, they may require audit committee approval when transactions exceed 10% of the standalone turnover of the subsidiary. So अगर आपके 10% से ज़्यादा exceed करता है आपके turnover का that transaction, you need an audit committee approval for such material subsidiaries. What are material subsidiaries? If you remember from the CA classes, I have discussed the definition of material subsidiary with you. I would be appreciating if you can tell me the definition of material subsidiary in the comment section. That shareholder note will also be required if these transactions cross the materiality threshold of 1000 crores or 10% of the listed entities consolidated turnover. जो आपकी parent entity है, listed entity है, उसके turnover का 10% अगर cross करता है, then you might also need shareholders permission, right? Then SEBI may also specify the eligibility criteria for appointment of a statutory auditor, including the qualification, experience and all. An appointment or reappointment of statutory auditors and secretarial auditors will have to be accompanied by disclosure of minimum information to the audit committee. Remember, all these concepts, the difference between statutory auditors, secretarial auditors, we have discussed in the class. I hope you must be remembering them, right? Next, we have RBI has deferred the implementation of liquidity coverage ratio, LCR. That is going to be a very significant information. I would ask you to write it down separately. That can be a probable area of question, everyone. In the MPC highlight, recently I have covered with you, MPC meeting highlight, we have discussed this thing. It was then only it was decided to defer this norm up to 31st March 2026. So this is an update, recent update. So please remember, LCR जो है आपका लिक्विडिटी कवरेज रेशो, earlier it was scheduled to be implemented in March in 2025 only, but now it will be there for March 31, 2026. Originally 2025 में प्लान था, बट अभी 31 मार्च 2026 से पहले इंप्लीमेंट नहीं होगा, इट हैज बीन स्पेसिफाइड. LCR norms क्या थे? In which the banks were required to hold more liquidity coverage ratio. That means more of high quality liquid assets. अभी थोड़ा टाइम दिया जाएगा बैंक्स को for this purpose. So remember the date. Then you have SEBI launching dedicated related party transaction portal. RTPs के लिए एक dedicated portal they have launched basically to enhance the transparency and corporate governance में जो transparency के issues हैं उसको solve करने के लिए. So this is the platform to bring in transparency in corporate governance. And remember, it was formed, the portal basically was formed by advisory firms like InGovern Research Services, Institutional Investor Advisory Services, and Stakeholder Empowerment Services. So you need to remember those who have helped in the formation of the platform, right? Then next is IFSC notifies new bullion market regulation. So IFSC has notified new regulations for bullion market. Let's see. Like in this, they have notified certain powers to conduct inspections to ensure transparency and compliance, inquiries, imposing penalties, etc. in the bullion market. The new regulations, they also quantify the net worth of the applicant seeking recognition as a bullion exchange at $10 million. आपकी net worth कितनी होनी चाहिए? If you want to be a participant in the bullion exchange, your net worth should be at least $10 million, remember, right? $10 million. Also, the definition of the term consumer has been broadened to a constituent of a bullion trading member or a special category client as mentioned in the circulars. यहाँ पर जो भी consumer होगा, that might be a constituent of the bullion trading member. The term non-independent directors has been introduced, and this nomenclature is replacing the word shareholder director. So in this thing, specifically shareholder director has been replaced with non-independent directors. Next, we have a SEBI and Bharat InvIT Association are working on setting up dedicated data benchmarking institutions for infrastructure investment trust. Infrastructure investment trust के लिए data benchmarking institutions they are trying to make for data accessibility. You know, at one platform only you will be able to access good quality authentic data, boosting the transparency and making the process easier. So you have financial services firms like CAMS, like CareEdge, like KFintech and InvIT, those who are helping in creating this platform. And remember, the platform will feature data for 5 publicly, phase 1 जो होगा उसका, उसमें 5 publicly listed InvITs का data will be available. So which are these? Their name is important. India Grid Infrastructure Trust, Indus Infra Trust, then you have IRB InvIT Fund, Capital Infra Trust and Power Grid Infrastructure Investment Trust. These are the 5 they will be bringing in the first phase. So remember their names, this is important. Then you have RBI recently has launched RBI Data App. RBI Data App क्या है? RBI Data App is something which you can access to get any information regarding Indian economy, right? So remember this RBI data. You get economic updates here. Indian economy's macroeconomic performance, financial statistics will be available on RBI data. Then next, very importantly, remember in the RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme 2021, RBI has replaced the word, जो उसका हिंदी translation है scheme का, उस पे लोकपाल has been replaced with ombudsman in the Hindi version of it. So this is also an update. So now it would be Reserve Bank Ekikrit Ombudsman Yojana. Earlier it was Lokpal in the Hindi version of it. Then next you have RBI. RBI has announced that transactions between primary members and gilt account holders that now can be matched on NDS-OM platform. So NDS-OM पे their transactions would be matched and these transactions would be cleared, settled through Clearing Corporation of India. CCIL, of course, is the central counterparty for all the transactions in government securities. Presently, you have these transactions between primary member and its own gilt account holder, and between two gilt account holders. They are not permitted to be matched on NDS-OM, right? And are also not cleared and settled through CCIL. अभी NDS-OM पे मैच होगा, CCIL से क्लियर होगा तो ट्रांसपेरेंसी बूस्ट होगी and it would spearhead the process. It would boost up the process. So remember this thing, and this news is something I have discussed in detail in the class itself with you. So I hope you will be remembering this. Then you have RBI has announced long-term dollar-rupee swap auction for $10 billion on Feb 28, 2025. The auction will be for a period of 3 years from 4th March to 6th March 2028. So this is dollar-rupee swap. Dollar-rupee swap होगा. Minimum bid size है $10 million, right? This is something you need to remember. अभी dollar-rupee swap 2 बार हमने classes में cover किए थे. Then next we have is RBI. According to RBI data, the net external commercial borrowings by Indian entities has grown nearly 3 times to 15.6 billion US dollars during April to December time period of 2024. ECBs, external commercial borrowings. What are external commercial borrowings? External commercial borrowings are the loan which eligible entity, Indian entity takes from non-resident lender. जो भी हम outside India, non-resident lender से borrow कर रहे हैं, they have increased recently 3 times. So remember this thing. That shows we have quite keen interest in global gains, you know. Then next we have RBI proposes to do away with prepayment levy on business loans taken by individuals. Yeah. So this news is again important. Remember, RBI has proposed to do away with foreclosure charges or prepayment penalties. Foreclosure charges क्या होता है? जब आप अपना जो भी लोन अमाउंट है उसको पहले बंद करना चाहते हैं before the time period, before its maturity. So banks often charge you some penalty. So RBI has said for MSMEs, you do away with this because they want the MSMEs to grow. So RBI has proposed to do away with these foreclosure charges or prepayment penalties charged by banks and other lenders on all floating rate loans for the MSMEs. Okay. However, in case of MSME borrowers, these instructions shall be applicable up to aggregate sanction limit of 7.5 crore per borrower. It is applicable if your sanction limit is 7.5 crores per borrower. Then SEBI has also proposed a framework for undertaking fast-track follow-on offers by real estate investment trust and InvITs to make fundraising more efficient. SEBI has proposed, so basically they have proposed a lock-in provision of 3 years for preferential issue of units. Lock-in कितना 3 साल का for preferential issues of units of REITs and InvITs allotted to sponsors. जो भी preferential issue होता है, जो sponsors को issue होता है, उसका 3 साल का lock-in they have provided. Why this lock-in? Because see, इससे they want these sponsors and all to have a long-term interest, vested interest into these securities, right? So 3 साल का lock-in period है. Also 15% of the units allotted to sponsors and sponsor group will be locked in for a period of 3 years from the date of trading approval. Remaining units allotted to them will be locked in for a period of 1 year. Remaining units. So apart from 15%, remaining units would be locked in for a period of 1 year. Remember that thing. Next one is SEBI has created, they are planning to create unified payment interface. So UPI address they are planning to have to help investors ensure their payments reach only SEBI registered intermediaries. SEBI registered intermediaries तक ही उनका पेमेंट जा रहा है to ensure this and to eliminate any inclusion error. They are planning to bring in this platform. And this UPI payment limit for capital market transaction is set to 5 lakh per day higher than current 2 lakh limit. तो जो प्रपोज लिमिट है वो 5 लाख है, आपको पता ही है. दिस विल बी इवेल्युएटेड पीरियडिकली इन कंसल्टेशन विद NPCI. Also, UPI address typically consists of these username and handle separated by @. In the proposed mechanism, the username will be an alphanumeric ID generated for the user. So revise this carefully. Then you have RBI has chosen X2 India Technologies to test offline payment solutions in regulatory sandbox. तो जो regulatory sandbox है introduced by RBI, which serves as a testing ground for fintech innovations, where you can test your innovative products, fintech innovative products. So X2 India Technologies, remember this name, is chosen by RBI to test offline payment solutions for these regulatory sandboxes. And remember, the sandbox, regulatory sandbox, focuses on three core areas: digital payments, digital KYC, and data analytics for financial services. Next is SEBI has proposed to mandate a separate reporting on digital assurance of financial statements. So, to provide transparency and improve disclosure standards, enable better enforcement, and thereby provide greater investor protection, SEBI has proposed to mandate a separate reporting on digital assurance of financial statement. What is digital assurance? Where you have a set of practices and controls that ensure the quality, security, and compliance of digital products and services. That your digital products and services are compliant with the norms or not, right? This is the thing where they will be provided with a technical guide on how to build up this entire thing and present it to SEBI. SEBI has recently also been strict on the algo trading norms. So, SEBI recently has released a regulatory framework to ensure safer participation of retail investors in the algorithmic trading through brokers. First, use of application programming interface API for algo trading and responsibilities of stock brokers and exchanges. Algo trading क्या होती है आप सबको पता ही है, where the orders are generated using automated execution logic, जिसमें automated execution logic basis पे order generate होता है and it is applied for the trade. और इसमें भी दो categories होती हैं algo trading में. You have white box algos and then you have black box algos. White box algos होते हैं where the logic behind the algo is very clear, replicable and is disclosed. In black box it is not disclosed, right? Then next we have is SEBI has plans to expand the scope of category 2 alternative investment funds that invest in primarily in unlisted securities to listed debt securities as well. So SEBI wants them to be there in listed debt securities as well, right? Because they are primarily investing in unlisted ones. So category 2 AIF may be nudged to invest in listed debt securities having a credit rating of A or below in line with higher risk appetites. They want all the alternative investment funds to invest in the listed debt securities as well, and they will be nudging them in future. Let's see. Then next one is RBI has decided to allow forward contracts in government securities to enable further market development and hedge against interest rate risk. This is something we have discussed in the MPC report as well. So here now RBI has allowed forward contracts in government securities. Forward contracts in government securities. Forward trading क्या होता है? Forward trading in government securities involves entering into a contract to buy or sell these securities जिसमें you have predetermined price on a future date. इससे क्या होता है? You are able to manage the interest rate fluctuation in future. उसकी risk से you try to hedge yourself, right? So this is going to be allowed. Remember, this is important decision in government securities. And RBI has set up a working group which will be submitting them the report regarding how to implement this entire thing. Then moving on to banking news. So banking news mein we have Standard Chartered Bank will open priority centers in 10 cities across the country by 2025 to serve high net worth individual clients. High net worth Indian clients को serve करने के लिए they will be setting up their priority centers. अभी इनके 10 priority centers, 14 priority centers already है. 10 more will be there in Indore, Chandigarh, Noida, Hyderabad, Delhi, Bengaluru, Kolkata, etc. Then you have Bank of Baroda set to launch Baroda Kisan Pride scheme in Karnataka, where they will be providing assistance to farmers for scientific adoption in agriculture, right? To 50% of the scale of finance. That means if your cost, whatever your cost is, so up to 2.5% of that they will be funding. Then you have Muthoot Finance. So Finance and Insurance Corporation Muthoot Finance has received RBI approval to open up 115 new branches. That is quite huge number. Then you have Bank of Baroda launching the loyalty cashback program functionality or the programmability aspect of CBDC. जो हमारा सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसी है उसमें एक प्रोग्रामेबिलिटी एस्पेक्ट है. व्हाट इज प्रोग्रामेबिलिटी एस्पेक्ट? दैट मींस द यूज ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर करेंसी कैन बी डिजाइंड इन सच अ वे दैट इट इज यूज फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक पर्पस ओनली. सो दिस इज प्रोग्रामेबिलिटी. उसमें इन्होंने लॉन्च किया लॉयल्टी या कैशबैक पॉइंट्स. दैट मींस जब भी आप ट्रांजेक्शन करेंगे तो यू विल रिसीव सर्टेन कैशबैक. दिस इज समथिंग रिमेंबर important. Then you have Axis Mutual Fund has recently launched an open-ended target maturity index fund investing in constituents of Nifty AAA Financial Services Bond Index. So this is another one. The next one is IndusInd Bank has become official banking partner of PGTI. This is important, remember. IndusInd Bank has unveiled its collaboration with Professional Golf Tour of India as its official banking partner. So this is important. Remember the news, the official banking partner of PGTI. That we have IREDA, Global Green Energy Finance, IFSCA Limited has received provisional registration as a finance company to be located in Gift City, Gujarat. So remember, this approval has been provided to the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited. Then next one is RBI has approved Bank of Maharashtra to establish IFSCA banking unit at Gift City, Gujarat. This is again important. Bank of Maharashtra has been allowed by RBI to establish its IFSCA unit in Gift City, Gujarat. The next is RBI has approved small finance banks to offer credit lines on UPI. So now small finance banks can offer credit lines via UPI. This has been approved by RBI for small finance bank. Then you have payment solutions provider EaseBuzz has received final authorization from RBI to operate as online payment aggregator. To work as online payment aggregator, EaseBuzz has got the nod. So now it will be working as online payment aggregator. Then you have NSDL and CDSL in collaboration with SEBI have launched, this is important, Unified Investor App UIP, where they have integrated sorry, My Easy by CDSL and Speedy by NSDL. अभी इससे क्या होगा, My Easy और Speedy को कंबाइन करने से जस्ट अ सेकेंड, माई इजी और स्पीडी को कंबाइन करने से क्या होगा, देयर विल नॉट बी रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ सेपरेट प्लेटफॉर्म्स. स्पीडी और माई इजी से पहले इन्वेस्टर्स could track their investments, but now it will be a common platform for all the investors, right? So this is going to make the process easier, remember that. Then you have RBI has issued norms for forward contracts in GSEX. We have discussed this thing. Forward contracts के जो norms है RBI लेकर आया है. Now GSEX में they are allowing forward contracts, and these directions regarding the forward contracts of bond markets undertaken in the OTC market in India will come into force. So 2nd May 2025 से they will be coming into force. This date can be important. Next, you have Finvezia has teamed up with Yes Bank to introduce Jump. So it is AI-driven super app. Finvezia is a fintech company based in Mohali. it has partnered with Yes Bank to introduce Jump. Jump क्या है? AI driven app है to simplify personal finance management. इससे personal finance management में help मिलेगी. Then next is India's first fully digital account opening in cooperative banking. Venkatesh Multi-State Credit Cooperative Society has become India's first multi-state cooperative to offer fully digital account opening. Fully digital account opening launch करने वाला. This name you need to remember is Venkatesh Multi-State Credit Cooperative Society. The next is Indian Overseas Bank has become signatory to Partnership for Carbon Accounting Financials PCAF to measure and disclose the greenhouse gas emissions from its financial activities. So PCF क्या है? Global initiative है which helps financial institutions measure and disclose their carbon emissions associated with their financing projects. जिस भी project को वो finance करते हैं उससे कितना carbon dioxide release हो रहा है, what is the carbon intensity of the projects they are financing. So these were the news from February. Top 50 news we have discussed part 1 and this is part 2 from February CA. Please revise it carefully and then we will be bringing in top 50 news from March as well. Concepts we have discussed in the classes, so please revise them through the classes if you are unable to get anything. That's it for today's session. I hope you have enjoyed the class. Thank you so much for staying tuned. See you in the next sessions. Till then, have a great day. Thank you.